you the news. Printed the info, we gave you the clues.
Hey everybody, welcome to Navel Gazing, the Valley Indie podcast / vlogcast, which I'm pretty sure is a word. I am Eugene Driscoll, I think, of valleyindy.org. Today, my guests are coaches and student athletes from the Derby Middle School running program. Before I let them talk, as customary, I'm going to blab on for about 5 minutes. Because before they introduce themselves, there's some news to report. We're recording this on Friday morning, June 4th, to publish Monday, June 7th. Just last night, the Derby High School boys track and field team won the Class S state title. It's their third title in 4 years, according to what I read in the media last night. So massive congratulations go out to them, their coaches, their families, all my neighbors in Derby. Job well done indeed. There was even an impromptu parade of sorts last night from what I literally heard. So it's great, great news. If you go to valleyindy.org, there are links to coverage of that championship meet from the New Haven Register and the Republican American, and a link to the results. And I'll probably add more in the coming days. So it is a fact that Derby Public Schools have built one of the premier track and field / running programs in the state of Connecticut. It's also one of the great stories in the state of Connecticut because, as Derby's Jack Walsh pointed out last night, for generations, they didn't even have a regulation running track. From Walsh on Twitter last night, quote, "When you consider that the Derby High track team had not had a home meet for about 30 years, it just seems fitting that there's a new track this year and another state championship to go along with it." Now, I believe one of the reasons Derby High School has such a strong program is because of the Derby Middle School program. At least that's what I've heard in the rumor mill, which we'll talk about for a few minutes in this broadcast. So now that we've got the basis for our conversation today out of the way, I guess first what we'll do is have everybody introduce themselves one at a time. Thank you for doing this via Zoom. I know we're all sick of Zoom, but let's start with the two coaches down there on the bottom. So bear with us because everyone has to unmute and do all that Zoom stuff. So let's start with Jennifer Andrews and Mr. Gozzo down there.
Okay, I'm Coach Gozzo, Derby Middle School Running Club, Derby track team, and cross-country team.
And Jenny Andrews, same cross-country coach, track coach, and running club as well.
Awesome. Let's go up to Emma Hyder up there.
I'm Emma Hyder, and I've been on the running team since 3rd grade.
And what grade are you in now?
8th.
Nice. Thank you for joining me. And then I feel like I've had you guys, this is like multiple appearances for Emma and Cassie, I feel like maybe, because you both look familiar. Cassie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm Cassie Silkoff. I've been running with Gozzo since 3rd grade also.
Running with Gozzo. That's going to be, now you've given me the title for this here episode, Running with Gozzo. So let's get into it here. The first thing I think we should do is, before we went live a couple of days ago, Coach Andrews had reached out to me and sent me an email saying, hey, the Derby Middle School program has some accomplishments to talk about and to share with the community. So Coach Andrews, what I'm going to do is I want you to go over that email you had sent me. And if you can't read it, because I guess you're doing this from the phone, we'll improvise. But what I wanted to do is, let's see here. Bear with me. Let me go to my other screen here. If you can read that, Jennifer Andrews, unless that's too small, can you just go over? I wanted you to name all these athletes, these student athletes, if you could, in that email you had sent me, and go over their great accomplishments.
Okay. So we went and competed in Manchester last Saturday, the boys and girls. Unfortunately, Gozzo and I were separated because of COVID. I had to go up first with the boys, and then while I was coming back, Gozzo was going up with the girls. So we kept in touch for the day, via texting and to see how each other was doing. And we wound up pretty victorious. We came back with 7 all-state medals. In the 4x4, our boys came up first in the state, which I think was the first time. Yeah, first time for us in this program that Mr. Gozzo has created over here. So Tyler Izquierdo, Christian Castellini, Sebastian Amaya, and Caden Wally all took a medal for first place in that 4x4. Then we had the 100-meter dash, which Caden Wally in the trials did very well in his heat, and then in the final came in 5th in the state. Then we had there's a typo there. Kayla Adams won. She came in 6th in the state in the 800, the half mile. And our other 8th grade student, CJ Rouse, he actually came in 4th for disc and shot. He threw both, and he came in 4th and took 2 medals. And then Faith Galashaw, who Mr. Gozzo picked up just this year, threw as well and came in 4th in the state for the disc. And then we threw in our honorable mention because Journey Johnson is a runner that I was begging since 6th grade to run because she beat all the boys on the playground. And she got medaled. She came in 7th in the state and she just missed all state, which was the top 6 runners.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I know I just put you under the pressure there, but I would have butchered everybody's name. So I really appreciate you taking the heat off me there. So then I guess my first question, I'm going to throw it to both student athletes. But first, I guess we'll start with Emma. So if you unmute yourself and get ready to speak for the next 20 minutes. Okay, Emma? Because this is a long one I got. All right. So I wanted to ask you, I'm kidding. I mean, it's already been mentioned that COVID-19 and the fact you're wearing masks and just how weird the last at least year has been. I'm just wondering, in terms of schooling and running, what impact or what feelings has this pandemic brought up, and how has it affected, the things you try to do every day in terms of learning and your athletic competition, Emma, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so during like the original quarantine, we used to have like little running meetings, and we couldn't obviously practice together. So we would like try and run on our own and like get motivated for the season, but it wasn't like as easy because we couldn't all be together and training together. It was much harder than like you would think it would be.
Oh yeah, I should probably turn on my microphone when I talk to you guys, right? See, you guys are so much better on Zoom. I'll edit that out. No one will ever know. But my question to Emma, my follow-up, was just basically, how did it feel? Like, what emotions did you have through the course of this pandemic? I mean, obviously there's light at the end of the tunnel to some extent as vaccinations come online and hopefully things get back to normal, although it still has to get younger and younger for the vaccinations. So compare and contrast your feelings at the beginning of the pandemic to now, Emma.
At the beginning, it was really hard because we obviously couldn't be together, training together, but around, I think, June, we were allowed to start practicing together, and it became a lot easier to like get motivated for cross country. And when the season came, like everything started to feel semi-normal again.
That's interesting. And I should point out to anybody watching or listening that Emma just bailed me out by sending a chat during the Zoom meeting explaining that no one could hear what I'm saying. So thank you so much for covering my back there. And I guess, Cassie, I have the same type of question for you. You just heard Emma's explanation. So I wanted to ask you, how's it feel now that you've been through a year of a pandemic, something no one's ever experienced before? So what are your feeling and thoughts on that?
I was really motivated. I didn't steadily run at all, kind of. I would go long periods of time without running because I was so unmotivated and it was just really hard. But coming back to school and when we started actually holding practices together, it got a little easier, definitely. Just, yeah.
And then how did you, Cassie, first get involved in running? And then another reporter question: what do you feel you get out of it, Cassie? What's it do for you?
When I first got involved in running, I was in third grade, and it was just a little program we had at the elementary school. And it was just for fun, kind of. And then when I got to middle school, well, actually, fifth grade, I started taking it like a lot more seriously. And I kind of got really good at it.
So Cassie and Emma were at the elementary school, Bradley. And then in fourth grade, they came up to the middle school and started working with us. And, they got the feeling of, the socializing with other kids and, becoming friends and actually going to the practices so that they can run and then socialize. And I think that got Cassie more consistent because she'd have something to look forward to instead of just going to practice and run around the building once or twice.
And then my next question is going to be back to Emma. If you unmute yourself up there. So I mean, I'm a reporter, which just basically means I'm a gossip. I'm always listening to other people's conversations. It's just part of the job. And I believe I heard that your coach down there is an ex-Marine. So I'm wondering, Emma, did he like scream? Are we talking drill instructor screaming at you to get you motivated? How tough is he as a coach?
Not to that extent, but he definitely motivated us during like tough workouts and stuff.
And one thing I wanted to ask you, Emma, is like how do you keep going? I mean, just the physical fact of when you're tired and you're running, maybe you've had injuries to overcome. How do you dig down into yourself and find that motivation to keep going? And then what role, on a serious note, do the coaches or perhaps your parents play in sort of giving you that drive, Emma?
Yeah, so in October, I got injured until it was like 3 months until December. And I just kept thinking, I want to get back to track because I'm already missing cross country. So I just kept thinking, I want to recover so I can get back to track.
And then was there anything particular that a coach, either the coaches, helped you with during that time?
Well, I was doing like at home training that I could do with my injury, but I would go to the practices. I would make sure like I was there, making sure like everything was running smoothly.
And then, Cassie, a similar question to you. Let's see if we can do this without the computer exploding. But I wanted to know, like, when you're tired and you want to give up when you're running, how do you not give up? How do you not throw in the towel?
Because you know that if you push yourself, it's a greater reward than just quitting and giving in. And also, for me, it's like when you feel the pain, that's when you know you need to push harder, kind of.
And then, Cassie, I'm getting my own feedback, but we'll just push through. So last night, Derby boys track wins a state championship. Derby's become this dominant force in high school track and field and running. And I don't know which is which. I like run to the fridge. That's the extent of my exercise. So I apologize if I'm getting the terminology wrong. But I'm wondering, Cassie, is there when I was in 5th, 6th, 7th grade, high schoolers might as well have been aliens to me. Anything I was involved in on the high school level, there was no connection between the two. So I'm wondering, is there like a relationship at all or a connection? Do you cheer on the high school team? Do they come down and watch? Because you guys, Derby's such a small town and you guys and girls are right across from each other. What influence does the Derby track team at the high school have on you as a runner or athlete, if any, Cassie?
Well, for me, since I started running so young, I ran with a lot of those kids. And so they do come to our meets and they do watch us and we all cheer each other on. It's just kind of a community that we all have. The coaches are really close. Actually, Coach D helps us at our track meets. He does the timing and all that.
So that's great to hear. Okay, thank you. And then my next question is for Coach Gozzo. See, you're sort of a legend to me because I've heard so much about you over the years, and I see you guys all the time. The thing I should say right away is that I live on Hawthorne Avenue, so you guys have been running by my house for years now. I have like this Australian cattle dog that like always wants to take off with you guys. And also thank you for doing that, because one thing that's been happening during COVID, the neighborhood has been so quiet, and it's been so weird to be in this part of Derby and not, you didn't hear the roar of the football games this year. So the fact that you guys and girls are running by the house, there's something nice about that. That's sort of inspiring after all we've been through in the last year. But Coach Gozzo, I wanted to ask you how you got involved in coaching. And then what's the best part of coaching these student athletes?
Well, I was running in high school, and then after high school, I went into the Marine Corps and I started running there. And I ran into a series of injuries right after one another, shin splints, stress fractures, hamstring pulls. So the way it's done in the Marine Corps, the Navy provides us our medical treatment. So I went to the clinic and saw a primary care doctor, and of course they had to give me what's called a consultation to go to Bethesda to talk to specialists. That's the Naval Hospital, Bethesda, Maryland. So I got a consultation to go see orthopedic surgeon and also a foot doctor there, podiatrist. And the way the military worked at that time, it takes months sometimes to be seen by a specialist. And it was about a 3 or 4 month wait before I could get to Bethesda. But what happened was interesting in that I had both appointments were on the same day. One was in the morning, one was in the afternoon. So here I'm stationed at Quantico. I make one trip to Bethesda. I'm there all day, and I get to see both of them instead of making 2 separate trips. So at the end of the day, I wasn't a happy camper. They both agreed that whatever I had done in running, I've already done it, or whatever I was going to do, I've already done it, that my body just wouldn't allow me to put on the high mileage that it takes to be competitive. So I said, these doctors, it's bogus. I said, these doctors don't know what they're talking. So I went back and I went back in my running routine, and 2 weeks later I'm injured again. And I said, well, maybe these guys know what they're talking about. So I started off coaching this remedial group of Marines, people that are on weight control. I started running with them, and then some of them got more interested. They said, well, we want to run beyond this program, because the program was 3 days a week. We'd meet maybe 5:30 to 6:30 in the morning before work. And so we started going to road races, and before you know, I gathered a following of not only these people, but then other Marines collectively and sailors collectively joined our group, and before we knew it, we had a whole team. So I went through that for the not consistently, but for 20 plus years, I went through that. So when I came out, I worked at a middle school in Virginia. I started coaching up there, and it was the first time I got to work with middle schoolers, not only as a teacher, but as a coach. And I said, wow, coaching middle schoolers are completely different than coaching high schoolers, coaching adults. I mean, middle schoolers, they're like in their own group. They need a lot of hands-on guidance. First chance they get, somebody will cut the course, to make it short. So anyway, I did that 6 years in Virginia. Then I came over here to Derby. We moved to Connecticut, relocated. Came here, and I was here about 3 years. And they called me to be the cross-country coach. They were starting a program.
When was that?
This was 2000. I want to say it was 2009 or 2010 by now.
Okay.
So myself and I had 2 other people volunteers, Shelley Sheridan, and who's still with us, and Jason Cibula, who's in another school system. So we started this cross-country program, and at the end of the season, we had compiled the grand record of 0-14. So I said, it doesn't get worse than that unless you have 0-15. So I said, we were horrible. We were horrible, and I remember these bus rides back. It was so quiet. Some of the kids were even like, it looked like they were going to cry. I mean, they weren't going to cry in front of me. But they would no longer ask the question as whether we could beat this team or not. It was like, how bad is this team going to beat us? So after the season, we sat down and we started chatting, how can we make this better? And well, the thing is, in middle school, we only had 2 months of cross country. So you'd have 10 months where these kids could either get involved in other sports or do nothing. So we started a running club, and we worked through that through the summer and the winter time. And then the following year, it was like a new cross country team. I mean, we won 6 out of 8 meets for the girls, which was, when you're going from 0 to 14. And, they're good kids. They don't deserve to keep getting beaten again and again. It hurts them psychologically and the toll it takes on the coaches. So it was just a response to a losing cross-country season, I would say.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. And thank you for going through all that. And one thing I wanted to ask you, I mean, now you have this, you went from having, you couldn't compete on the track because it wasn't regulation. It wasn't, the materials were so outdated. It was crumbling in spots. And now you have this beautiful facility, which, and I'm a reporter, I'm not supposed to opine or give opinion, but what a great use of the tax-paying, of the dollars we spend as taxpayers, that complex up there. And the other half of it was privately funded. But what did it feel like to step out and see the kids compete in that facility for the first time?
It was fantastic. And I mean, and having this type of track, it levels the playing field between us and the other schools. I mean, for years, we had a circle of dirt that was approximately a quarter-mile long, and you could run in it, and, you could step in a pothole, roll your ankle. They had straw on it one time, you'd fall down in the straw. I mean, this makes it so much easier on the body and levels the playing field for us.
Yeah, it's really a great thing. And I guess my last question, just to wrap it up, and maybe I'll throw it at Coach Andrews or whomever wants to answer. So now the end of the school year is rapidly upon us. You have another couple of weeks, and then it'll be summertime. So what happens during the summer? Do you guys get together? And maybe that violates some league policy. I don't know. But how do kids stay active in something like this during the summer? And if either Emma or Cassie want to take it, they can as well. But whoever wants to tackle it.
I just want to say one thing first, because you brought that up. I was going to say something anyway. So Gozzo, I told you last time we interviewed, how he dragged me into this program kicking and screaming because I wasn't a runner, and then made me a semi-runner, because he has that motivating personality. But I just want to, I don't think, sometimes the accolades all happen at the high school level, which is great because we're building up, but, he's the foundation of the program, and I don't know. I just feel like he deserves a lot more credit sometimes than I feel like he gets. But he does all that running club at in his own time. Like, this is not, big. We do get a stipend for track and cross country, but Gozzo does all the running club. He does all year round. He does summer. He's there all the time, and it's just to make kids, great athletes and great kids overall. So I just want to give him that shout out because I became part of a great program when he dragged me kicking and screaming to try to run. I was always, it's like the last one in, but that's okay because that got all the other kids in front of me because they didn't want to lose to me. But I just want the credit to go where credit is due, and he just he's got that Marine mentality, and that's what keeps him going. And it's, it's all year round. It's not like a lot of other programs in the Valley. I mean, and I'm not knocking them down, but they do cross country, or they'll do track, and that's in their, paid allotment of their season. They don't have a running club where someone's dedicating literally all their time, 5 days a week, year round, just to make good runners out of kids. That's the only purpose.
Yeah, it's really a great example of community. That phrase, that word is thrown around so much, but here it is in action, and you have the results. Last night, that was the result of the work and dedication that all of you have. So, and that's why I wanted to do this interview, because Coach Gozzo, I've heard that name for years, and I see him run by my house every day, and I'm like, wow, that guy that's more than I could do. So, and then Emma and Cassie, we could end. There's anything else you want to add? Maybe there's something you want to stress about this program that I haven't asked. Because what do I know? I'm just a guy in my basement.
Do you want to go?
If you don't know what to do, just join Goz. Something fun to do, and it's good for you.
Awesome. Cassie, you want the last word?
Sure. I wouldn't be where I am today without Gozzo. He is honestly such a great person, and yeah.
That's wonderful, and that's an awesome way to end. So I want to thank everybody for coming on and agreeing to do this. I know it's a lot to handle, so I apologize for making you all huddle in there. But thank you so much, and until next time. And this will publish Monday, by the way.